This image, one of several shared exclusively with CNN, may show signs of Iran attempting to rebuild its nuclear facilities. This is one of several locations across the country where we've identified recent activity, both at nuclear and missile sites. The activity at nuclear sites in particular raises questions as to whether Iran violated the Memorandum of Understanding it signed with the US in late June, even before President Trump seemed to signal its end by launching fresh strikes. In it, Tehran had agreed not to procure or develop nuclear weapons. This site in Parchin is believed to be holding explosive material for nuclear weapons. Before the US-Israeli strikes, Iran built this concrete shield around it, a sign of its importance. It was then struck multiple times during the US-Israel bombing campaign this year. The targeting was precise. You could see the holes left behind by bunker-busting bombs. Now, in new imagery from June and July, analysed by CNN in conjunction with the Institute for Science and International Security, we can see Iran appeared to be taking steps to repair and reconstruct the site. You can see temporary covers placed over the impact holes. Then, weeks later, with the memorandum still in effect, the covers are removed and replaced with a mesh. Concrete mixing trucks are visible nearby. Experts say these trucks are a sign the Iranians are intending to seal the holes. For weeks, we've only had glimpses of what's been happening on the ground inside Iran. Providers have been withholding satellite imagery across the region at the request of the US government. Now, those restrictions are loosening, and we've been able to see new images across Iran of which sites they've started to clear and repair first, a sign perhaps of which they see as the most important. This is Pickaxe Mountain, another site where Iran is believed to be advancing its nuclear capabilities deep underground. And in recent weeks, vehicles could clearly be seen going in and out of the tunnels. Experts told CNN this was likely a violation of the terms signed with the US, which required Iran to maintain the status quo regarding their nuclear program. In contrast, other prominent nuclear sites did not seem to have been touched, like Isfahan here, Fordow here, and Natanz. There has been activity at some missile sites. The US and its allies have long been concerned about Tehran's missile capacity, and the latest imagery suggests Iran has already started repairing some storage sites. This is new paving laid out at Tabriz missile base in recent days. And at another missile base in Kermanshah, we can see excavators and tunnel entrances being cleared. Lastly, we've also spotted repairs at air bases in recent days. You can see a crater being filled in here at Tabriz Air Base. With the US resuming its attacks on Iran, a peace agreement is seeming increasingly out of reach. Katie Poglaze, CNN, London.
Well, shortly before we filed this report, these satellite companies restricted public access again to most images over Iran at the request of the U.S. government. CNN reached out to the Iranian government for comment on the activity we detected. We did not get a response. On the U.S. side, when asked about CNN's findings, Pentagon officials said they would not discuss battlefield conditions or intelligence matters due to operational security. Joining me now, Brett McGurk, who has held national security positions under the last 4 presidents, including during President Trump's first term. He is just back from the Middle East. And former Deputy Director of National Intelligence, Beth Sanner. So, Brett, what are your thoughts, first of all, when you hear the reporting from Katie Poglaze?
Well, it's important reporting, Anderson, because Parchin, that one site and the one building, Talagan 2, which is where the imagery is showing, that is the site that is known. Iran has pursued its weaponization work. They don't enrich uranium there, but they've done experiments over the years about how to actually turn fuel into a nuclear weapon. When they had a weapons program up until about 2003, which the intelligence community, our intelligence community, believes. It was inspected by the IAEA. The IAEA found that a lot had been done to conceal. So it is a very sensitive site. And you can learn a lot from information like this, because where is Iran focused on rebuilding? And if it's that particular site, they're either trying to send a signal that, hey, we can start our weaponization work again, or they are trying to pursue to have a threshold nuclear capacity using the fuel that is still underground, that nuclear dust. And then at Parchin, this particular site is where they do the experimentations for ultimate weaponization. That's how I read that. I wouldn't be too alarmed by it, but it's interesting. And one key point in that MOU, Anderson, status quo on nuclear. You cannot do any more nuclear sites, and the Strait of Hormuz should be open. Both of those things, it seems now, are not happening.
And Beth, 2 Israeli sources tell CNN that the Trump administration doesn't want Israel involved with U.S. strikes against Iran. But if the nuclear issue is still so unsettled, do you think the White House would be able to keep Israel from launching new attacks on their own?
Probably, but I think that one of the things I would want to emphasize here to pick up where Brett is and to answer your question is that, Pickaxe Mountain is a place that the IAEA has never inspected. It was not bombed, as far as I know, during the war, and it is too deep by most accounts to actually bomb it, and Israel doesn't have the capability to bomb even, we had to be the ones to bomb the other nuclear sites. So we really don't know what the activity at Pickaxe is, but it's certainly always been a place of concern, and we don't know. Could they have squirreled away in, centrifuges there? Do they have some highly enriched uranium there? We do not know. But that would be of concern, and Israel can't do anything about that. All we can do is bomb the tunnel entrances, and they can dig those out. So it emphasizes why, even though the weapons program or the nuclear program was set back by years, why do we need to have a negotiation? It's these things, because we don't know, and we need to get it under wraps.
And Brett, you alluded to this. A senior U.S. official spoke with reporters late today and said that the sides will never move on to negotiations on Iran's nuclear program while the regime is still firing its ships in the Strait. What do you think that means for likelihood of future agreements?
Yeah, Anderson, this is kind of somewhat predictable. We're 2 weeks into the 60-day ceasefire in the MOU. On Tuesday, Iran hit 2 ships with drones. It was a Qatar ship carrying liquid natural gas and a Saudi ship carrying crude oil. They sent messages to both those capitals, this is Iran to Saudi Arabia and Qatar, saying this was a mistake, this was a rogue group within the Revolutionary Guard, it's not going to happen again. They also sent a message to the United States through mediators about that. Nobody believed them. The U.S. has responded, and now they're trying to get back to some semblance of a status quo. It is the expectation in the Gulf, and it's the expectation of the United States, that all those shipping lanes will be open. Iran clearly, at least elements of the Iranian system, those that have the power, which is the Revolutionary Guard, they read the MOU to say, well, the Strait of Hormuz will be open in the lane that we identify. So that is really the key issue here. And it's a main issue because it's kind of the crux of what the MOU was all about. And until you get past that, you're not going to have any chance of having a negotiation on these much more serious and complex issues.
Beth, does the Iranian regime act as one? That argument that, this was some rogue group or rogue faction within the IRGC or whomever launching these strikes, is that a possibility? Because they've used that sort of argument before.
Yeah. I think Brett and I are on the same page here. I don't buy it. I don't think Brett buys it. I don't think the Gulfies buy it. Look, it's a very attractive line to give this administration, and this administration seems to buy into it. They probably know more or different things than we do sitting on the outside. But I just think that you listen to Ghalibaf, who is the key negotiator, it doesn't sound like he's on a different page. So I think that they have core interests. They need to create a deterrent. They need to prevent the United States and Israel from attacking them again. And they don't trust, as Ghalibaf said, they don't trust that we are going to get that just through negotiations. They think that we will go back at it again, or Israel will. And so they're actually doing the thing that is, of course, causing us to attack them again. But from their perspective, they're going to keep pushing that reconstitution in order to create deterrence over the long run. And the Strait is a core part of that.
Go ahead.
Yep. Sorry.
Yeah, and Brett, the man she's talking about, the top negotiator, Speaker of the Parliament, made a statement that his country remains distrustful of the U.S., saying, quote, "In my view, only those who are prepared for war can negotiate with the United States." You just returned from the Middle East. What are you hearing about the signals that Iranian negotiators are sending? And do you think those negotiators speak for Iran's Revolutionary Guard?
Anderson, there's no trust here between anybody. There is a sense that there might be some sort of a power struggle in Tehran. I hear this, we've heard this for years, but this is between Ahmed Vahidi, who's a new head of the Revolutionary Guard, kind of the last guy we would want. He was Qasem Soleimani's predecessor. Soleimani was kind of he was a mentor to Soleimani. He's now in charge of the Revolutionary Guard, an old school Iraq War veteran, hardliner. The Guard has the power. I think Ghalibaf, Bejesky, and the president, they might want to try to get more sanctions relief, get on a better page, given they have serious economic distress. So this is what you hear. There's some sort of a power struggle. But Anderson, I think you're right, and I think Beth and I would agree. We've heard this for years, even before this conflict. But the Revolutionary Guard are the guys with the guns. They're the ones in charge. They're the ones that fire the drones in the Strait of Hormuz. And until they're on the page you want to be on, you're not going to be on the same page with Iran.